Join me as I condense my highlights of a 3-day expo of new technology, okay technology, and downright bizarre technology announcements. Welcome back to the annual STU'S Reviews CES recap. For those that don't know, CES is the Consumer Electronics Show, one of the most important expos for anyone who loves tech and gadgets, that happens once a year. I'd fully intended on going this year to the actual conference hosted over in Vegas. However, with the state of the rising cases of the pandemic, I decided to stay at home. I may have made a bad choice because this year's digital venue is desolate and devoid of any meaningful information, and any meaningful information that may be in the digital venue is hidden in really obtrusive places. But for what is supposed to be the world's most exciting tech conference, the online side of things needs to be better. Why haven't they made some sort of virtual event that you can walk around in for devices like the Oculus Quest or Meta Quest, especially when people are trying to squeeze in terms like metaverse and Web3 into every conversation, like it's some sort of bloody word bingo. But either way, let's get stuck in with the announcements that I thought were the most impressive and most important, starting with the PSVR 2, perhaps the most important because I believe that within the next 15 years, every single household will have some form of VR headset, so this type of tech really catches my eye. And now I know a hell of a lot more about the PSVR 2. Sort of. They announced that it will use OLED at a resolution of 2000 by 2040 per eye, and capable of displaying at 90Hz and 120Hz refresh rate, and at 110 FOV, so seriously some good specs all around. And we also know that it will have a vibration motor in the headset itself. Now normally I'd question this, but Sony did such a good job with its recent DualSense controller and the haptics inside that I'm excited to see what they could do with this headset. And pair that with Sony's adaptive triggers, I can imagine that this thing is going to be a really, really immersive headset. The only slight detraction is that although it only uses one cable, which is USB-C, at the moment it seems as if it's wired only. A bit of a shame because I'm a huge advocate for wire-free VR like in the Quest 2. Now, you're probably wondering what it looks like, right? Well, here are the controllers. Interesting take with what would appear to be a tracking ring around the hand. And here's the headset. Yep. We've had no idea what it looks like. Rather strange. This could possibly mean only one thing, that they're trying to make it as ugly as the PS5 console itself, and they're trying to avoid any media backlash. It's the only thing I can think of anyway. The next thing that caught my eye is the Asus ROG Flow Z13 gaming tablet. I actually joined in on a live panel discussion about this during the live stream announcement from Asus, which you can catch up at the links below for that. But this year it's going to be all about gaming on the go. As mobile gaming has become more and more popular, hardware manufacturers are increasingly looking at how they can bring full-blown experiences to more mobile platforms. Devices such as the Steam Deck coming next month, I believe, is a good example. And although that's shaping up to be really promising, the Z13 is in another league of its own. This thing packs some top-tier desktop-level power into such a small mobile form. 120Hz at 1080p, 60Hz at 4K, Intel Core i9, NVIDIA RTX 3050. It's even got support for the external graphics dock to use cards like the RTX 3080. It's insane! Honestly, this is the future of mobile gaming, and I'm super excited to give this one a go. There's no news at the moment on price or release date, so watch this space. Now, the Samsung Home Hub is the last mainstream announcement that caught my eye. After the huge disappointment of the Echo Show 15, which I reviewed last month, it's left a gaping desire for a more comprehensive smart dashboard in my home that isn't a cobbled together homemade solution. Could the Samsung Smart Home Hub be it? Well, featuring an 8.4-inch display that can be removed from its dock and used around the home, Essentially, it's a tablet, so possibly won't fill my desire for a large, stationary, central information and control point in the home. And it's a little bit confusing, actually, to sort of see where this will fit into the smart home ecosystem, especially if you already own a tablet. However, there's a reason I think this is a big announcement, despite it appearing a little odd, and that's because it signifies another major manufacturer warming up to the idea of smart home dashboards in a way that matches my expectations. Fingers crossed that this spurs this type of technology forward. Now, it's out in Korea in March, so we'll see what it's like when models start being tested. I've not got my hopes up that it'll be good, but at least it's a start. In my opinion, those are some of the most noteworthy announcements from some of the biggest names. Not many, I know, but that's largely down to the fact that many manufacturers decided to withdraw from this event again this year, or alternatively have chosen to release their products at their own events. And there are some other bigger ones from TV manufacturers, but it's all a bit samey, that type of display tech. There have been some cool announcements around gaming specific monitors for devices such as consoles that support HDMI 2.1, but again, nothing too spectacular there. But there are a ton of other smaller announcements and releases. Straight away, my top gadget announced is the BenQ Screenbar Halo. Now, I love the BenQ Screenbar range, and I actually use one of the earlier models myself. I did have an upgraded model for a while, which gave a control pad on the desk. The problem was that it had cables and wires connected everywhere and made my desk even more messy than it already is. Now, the Halo has a new wireless control unit, meaning it can sit anywhere on your desk and not clutter the place with wires. But that's not everything. Along with this, there's now a light on the rear of the screen bar, which adds a small amount of bias lighting designed to ease the contrast between your monitor and the surroundings, which is important for long-term eye health. Another immediate eye-catcher was a device called the Card Spot from Chipolo, a slim credit card-sized tracker that slides into your wallet. Now, nothing new here, we've seen this type of stuff before, but what's super noteworthy is the fact that it supports Apple's Find My network, an absolute game changer for wallet tracking and those with iOS devices. What's even better is that it costs just £30. Now, on the other side of the scale for cost, something that I desperately want but will never even set my hands upon is BMW's e-ink concept car. This thing is just utter witchcraft. Flitting between dark grey and white colour at will, displaying patterns and even changing the colour of the alloys, the possibilities of this would be absolutely endless. Imagine being able to flash a massive pulsating gentleman sausage at someone who has full beams on me driving 2 foot behind. The utter childish joy that would bring me. Now, my next piece of notable tech is something that almost made the don't ever buy this is bizarre list, but the more I thought about it, the more I actually quite like it. The Pluto Square automatic cat tray cleaner is exactly what it says on the tin. It tips out cat litter, filtering excrement into a separate receptacle beneath the device and then restoring the cat litter to its original position. What a clever idea. And those that are concerned that it may act like some sort of horrific trapdoor and drop your cat into the bin whilst it's doing its business, don't worry, because the device uses weights and other sensors to ensure that this doesn't happen. Now, it does seem maybe a little bit OTT, but although I don't have cats, we all know the smell that cats leave in their toilets inside the house. Having this could instantly make a positive impact to the home environment, so that gets a big thumbs up from me. Now, talking about pets, next up is something called the Labrador Retriever, and no, it's not a dog. This is a proper home robot, really the first of its kind that actually appears like it's available to consumers and at a price point that isn't unreasonable. The whole idea is that it can move around the home and act like a caddy, delivering anything you want around the house. The more expensive model is also capable of picking up trays and other items off the side and even opening up paired fridges. It looks awesome. As well, opting for a wood veneer which fits far better in the home than if it were a great big lump of white plastic like most tech is these days. Price wise, it's only $1,500 up front and then another $150 per month for 36 months. It's not really a massive amount considering the possibilities that this would open up, especially for those with disabilities or ailments that would make moving around the home a little bit more difficult. For me, I just want it as my own personal whiskey butler. Now, my last piece of noteworthy tech, and again, a piece of tech that is 100% unnecessary, but I still think is pretty cool, is the Bird Buddy. This smart bird feeder is like having a video doorbell bootstrapped to a bird feeder so that you can get a notification when a bird lands to eat, and it allows you to video and photo that bird, and it even actually uses AI to identify the species. How cool is that? But now on to the bit you've been waiting for, a summary of the weirdest stuff announced at CES. And to start it off is the heresy that is the Brewmaker. As an English person, this is an abhorrent conception that isn't just unnecessary, it's heretical. It's supposed to make a perfect cup of tea at the push of a button. Well, let me tell you something here. Nobody can make tea better than me. Not even AI. I'm from Lancashire. But seriously, how hard is it to steep a tea bag? It begs belief. Another bizarre concept is a device called Linklet, which hangs a super wide-angle camera around your neck for 4K FPV and connects to conference calls. Bit odd considering it's pointing away from you rather than at you. But it seems like it's a very, very niche use. Imagine trying to record some kind of sport. It'll be bouncing all over the place. Anyway, if you think that's weird, then there's this. Avocadio, a $200 shaped avocado device that analyzes your breath to help you understand how your body is handling the food that you eat by measuring the ketones in your breath. Right. I mean, maybe it actually works, but maybe it's also a bit of snake oil. I'm not a nutritionalist after all, so I can't really comment on its credibility just yet. But one thing I'm sure about is that it looks rather bizarre. Talking about looking bizarre, in the latest spate of weird mask tech comes this thing from QD, not sure how it's pronounced, but it's a pixel matrix display that can display a range of emotions on your face and even open and close its mouth when you speak. Now, at first I thought, wow, I kind of like this, but then I found out it's got no protection against transmission of disease or protection against particles, which makes it inherently useless. But okay, maybe I could use it as a mask for skiing or winter sports. No, it's not even waterproof. Maybe I'm missing some specific use case here, but these emissions make it inherently useless for any type of practical application entirely. A crying shame because it looks cool and the theory is great, but another example of a really poor and unnecessary execution. Another notable flop in my opinion is the Delfast e-bike. Now this is touted as the fastest electric push bike in the world, and it's ugly with a capital U. It looks like it's come straight off an AliExpress conveyor belt. Its top speed is 50 miles per hour and a range of 200 miles. Now this would normally make me overlook its unsightly frame if it weren't for the price. At just under €7,000, this is a ridiculous concept, and I'd be surprised if they sell many at that price, especially considering that you can get bikes with a top speed of 30 to 40 miles per hour with ranges of 100 miles for under 1/6 of the cost of that. But now on to the absolute worst, the dreaded 3D renders and concepts. Oh god, here we go. I'm not even going to talk about what specific concepts, because every year we see more and more of these infernal things. There's an absolute abundance of startup companies with some sort of stupid 3D CAD model concepts and absolutely zero evidence of working prototypes. I mentioned this last year. I hate it when companies show up ridiculous 3D renders of some preposterous thing that will never actually see the light of day. CES needs to ban this utter rubbish. I wonder what the stats are. How many of these renders actually come to fruition? And before you start commenting that, oh, it's innovation, no, you're wrong. Anyone can jump into CAD and cobble something together. Innovation is making a car with an e-ink paint job. Innovation is even showing a robot wine servant, despite it likely never making its way into consumer hands. It's still prototypes that they've made the effort to build. CES need to start vetting these stupid 3D render concept companies, and if it were my way, I would just wipe them completely from the show. I mean, how is it any different to me handing someone a game controller and letting them wander around Bioshock's underwater city for 15 minutes, telling them that one day we hope to build that city? It's just pure bloody fiction, that's what it is. Sorry, I do apologise. I did get lost there in my own rage a little bit, but anyway, that is my roundup of notable tech from this year's CES. Not a lot, I know, but again, I think that the pandemic has caused a lot of the industry to slow down. Despite this, however, there's still been some really exciting tech and some cool innovations, and this is just the start of a big year for tech. I'm hoping for more folding devices at more reasonable prices, perhaps some advancements in VR, and potentially even some advancements in home robotics. But all I can say is that I'm excited for what's to come. But I want to know what your favourite announcement from CES was. Was it one of the ones that I've picked that I thought was the best, or was it something that I've left off my list? I'd love to know, so please drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that thumbs up because it really, really helps me out. Happy 2022, everyone, and I'll see you back in an episode of STU'S Reviews soon.